There is a moment every morning, quiet, unnoticed, but powerful, when your day is still unformed. Nothing has gone wrong yet. No bad news has arrived. No pressure has built. That moment is not empty. It is waiting, waiting for a voice. Most people surrender that moment without realizing it. They let their feelings speak. They let yesterday speak. They let fear whisper before faith has a chance to rise. And before they know it, the day begins to shape them instead of them shaping the day. But it was never meant to be that way. You were given authority, not just to survive the day, but to command it. Not by striving harder, but by speaking right. Not by reacting, but by declaring. There is power in your words when they are spoken in faith, and especially in the early hours when your spirit is most receptive. This is where victory begins. Not at noon, not in the middle of the storm, but at the very start, when you choose to rise and speak life before anything else has the chance to speak to you. The moment you wake up is not ordinary, even if it feels routine. It carries a spiritual weight that many overlook. Before your mind becomes crowded with responsibilities, before your phone lights up with messages, before any outside influence begins to shape your thinking, there is a small window of time where your spirit is most open, most receptive, and most ready to establish direction. In that moment, your words matter more than you realize, because they begin to form the framework of everything that will follow. Most people step into their day unconsciously. They allow thoughts to drift in from yesterday, from worries, from pressures that haven't even happened yet, and they begin to agree with those thoughts without question. They don't realize that agreement is a form of surrender. When you say nothing, something else will speak. When you remain passive, circumstances begin to take the lead. But when you choose to speak intentionally, you interrupt that cycle and take your rightful place of authority. There is a reason the beginning of the day is so critical. It is because direction is easier to set than to correct. Once a day gains momentum in the wrong direction, it becomes harder to shift it. Negative thoughts gain strength, emotions begin to follow those thoughts, and soon actions align with both. But when you speak at the very start, you are not trying to fix the day. You are establishing it. You are setting boundaries that fear cannot cross, declaring truths that circumstances must align with, and placing your faith in motion before anything has the chance to oppose it. Your words at dawn are not empty sounds. They carry spiritual force. When you speak with faith, you are not just expressing hope. You are releasing authority. You are declaring what you believe, and belief, when spoken, begins to shape reality. This is why careless words in the morning can weaken you before the day even begins, and intentional words can strengthen you before the first challenge appears. It is not about how loud you speak, but about how deeply you believe what you are saying. You must come to a place where your first response is not based on how you feel, but on what you know. Feelings will try to dictate your words, telling you to speak what is convenient, what is comfortable, what seems obvious in the moment. But truth does not always align with feelings, and authority is not exercised through emotion. It is exercised through deliberate, faith-filled declaration. When you say, "This is the day the Lord has made, I will rejoice and be glad in it," you are not describing your emotions. You are commanding your attitude and aligning your spirit with truth. There is also a discipline involved in this. It does not always come naturally, especially if you have spent years waking up and immediately giving in to negative thinking or silent worry. At first, it may feel like you are going against the grain, like you are speaking something that your mind has not yet caught up with. But consistency builds conviction. The more you declare truth at the start of your day, the more your inner man begins to agree with it, and the stronger that agreement becomes over time. You are not waiting to see what kind of day you will have. You are deciding it. You are not a passive observer of your circumstances. You are a participant with authority. When you speak peace, you are not ignoring problems. You are establishing a higher reality. When you speak strength, you are not denying weakness. You are refusing to give it the final say. When you speak favor, you are not hoping for luck. You are aligning yourself with a promise that goes beyond what you can see. And this must happen early, before doubt has a chance to settle in, before distractions pull your attention in 100 different directions, before the noise of the world becomes louder than the voice within you. The earlier you speak, the stronger your foundations becomes. It is much easier to walk in confidence throughout the day when you have already declared who you are and what you expect before the day even begins. This is not about repeating empty phrases or following a routine without meaning. It is about engaging your spirit with intention. Every word you speak should carry weight, should come from a place of belief, should reflect a decision that you are making deep inside. You are choosing to align with truth. You are choosing to exercise authority. You are choosing to take ownership of your day instead of letting your day take ownership of you. And as you continue in this practice, something begins to shift. You start noticing that situations don't shake you as easily. Challenges don't catch you off guard the same way. There is a steadiness, a confidence, a quiet strength that carries you through, not because everything around you has changed, but because something within you was established at the very beginning. There is a critical decision that must be made every morning, and it often happens before a single word is spoken out loud. It is the decision of whether you will allow your feelings to lead or whether you will let your faith take the first step. Feelings are immediate, loud, and persuasive. They rise up without invitation, shaped by rest or lack of it, by yesterday's experiences, by thoughts that have lingered through the night. And if you are not careful, they will present themselves as truth, convincing you that what you feel is what you should follow. But faith does not operate that way. Faith does not check how it feels before it speaks. Faith is not moved by what is comfortable or convenient. Faith is anchored in something deeper, something unchanging, something that remains steady even when everything else seems uncertain. That is why the moment you wake up, before emotions begin to take control, there must be a conscious choice to let faith speak first. If you wait for your feelings to align before you speak, you may never speak at all. There will always be something slightly off, something not quite right, something that tries to convince you to stay quiet or to speak negatively. You might feel tired, and your mind immediately suggests words of weakness. You might feel pressure, and your thoughts begin to form words of stress. You might feel uncertainty, and doubt starts building sentences in your mind before you even realize it. This is how many people begin their day, reacting internally before they have ever responded intentionally. But the one who walks by faith interrupts that pattern. The one who understands authority does not wait for a better feeling to come along. Instead, they rise up and declare what is true, regardless of what is being felt. They speak strength when their body feels weak. They speak peace when their mind feels crowded. They speak confidence when uncertainty tries to settle in. Not because they are ignoring their feelings, but because they are refusing to let feelings have the first and final word. There is a difference between acknowledging a feeling and agreeing with it. Feelings may be present, but they are not in charge. When you agree with a feeling by speaking it, you give it permission to grow. You reinforce it, you strengthen it, and you allow it to shape your actions throughout the day. But when you choose to speak in line with faith instead, you break that agreement. You create a new direction that your emotions must eventually follow. This is why the timing matters so much. Early in the day, your mind has not yet been filled with distractions, and your spirit is more sensitive to what you allow in. If you allow feelings to dominate in that moment, they set a tone that carries into everything else. But if you step in quickly and let faith speak, you set a different tone, one that is rooted in truth rather than reaction. It may feel unnatural at first, especially if you have been used to letting your emotions guide your words. You may speak words of strength while still feeling weak, words of peace while your thoughts are still unsettled. But faith is not pretending, it is choosing. It is choosing to align with what is true, even when it does not yet feel real. And the more consistently you make that choice, the more your inner world begins to shift. Over time, you will notice that your feelings start to follow your faith instead of leading it. What once felt forced begins to feel natural. What once felt like resistance begins to feel like stability. Your emotions begin to come into alignment with the words you have been speaking, not because you chased them, but because you led them. This is the order that must be established. Faith first, feelings second. Words first, emotions following. Declaration before reaction. When this order is in place, you are no longer tossed back and forth by every passing mood or circumstance. You become steady, consistent, grounded in something that does not change from one moment to the next. And as your day unfolds, situations will still arise, pressures will still come, and emotions will still attempt to surface. But because you made the decision at the very beginning to let faith speak first, you are no longer responding from a place of weakness. You are responding from a place that has already been established, already been declared, already been set in motion by the words you chose to speak before anything else had the chance to influence you. There is a difference between simply hoping for a good day and deliberately establishing one, and that difference is found in what you say and how consistently you say it. Many people move through life reacting to whatever unfolds in front of them. If something goes wrong, their words follow the problem. If pressure increases, their words echo that pressure. Without realizing it, they are reinforcing the very conditions they wish would change. But there is a higher way to live, and it begins with understanding that your words are not just responses. They are instruments of authority. When you begin to confess with intention, you are not speaking randomly or emotionally. You are making a decision to align your words with what you know to be true, regardless of what is happening around you. Confession is not about repeating phrases out of habit. It is about declaring something with conviction, something that you are choosing to stand on. It is a form of establishing ground, drawing a line, and saying, "This is what I accept, and this is what I refuse to agree with." Too many people wait until they feel overwhelmed before they start speaking against what is happening. By then, their thoughts have already been shaped by the situation. Their emotions have already begun to respond, and their words are coming from a place of reaction instead of authority. But when you develop the habit of confession early, before the pressure, before the challenge, you are not trying to catch up with your circumstances. You are setting the tone ahead of them. This is what it means to establish dominion. It is not about controlling every detail of your environment, but about refusing to let your environment control your inner state. Your words become a boundary. They define what is allowed to take root in your thinking and what must be rejected. When fear tries to present itself, your confession meets it immediately. When doubt begins to form, your words interrupt it before it can grow. You are not silent, and because you are not silent, you are not passive. Confession also brings clarity. When you consistently speak what you believe, your mind begins to align with those words. There is less confusion, less wavering, less internal conflict. You are no longer entertaining multiple possibilities of defeat and victory at the same time. You have chosen your position, and your words reinforce that position again and again. That repetition is not weakness, it is strength being built, layer by layer, until it becomes unshakable. There is power in consistency. One declaration spoken once may encourage you for a moment, but repeated confession builds something deeper. It forms a pattern, a rhythm, a way of thinking that becomes your default. Instead of automatically speaking what you see, you begin to automatically speak what you believe. Instead of agreeing with every negative thought that crosses your mind, you challenge it with words that carry authority. And this authority is not based on emotion, volume, or intensity. It is based on alignment. When your words are aligned with truth, they carry weight. When they are spoken with belief, they carry force. You may not always feel that force in the moment, but that does not mean it is not working. Just as a seed planted in the ground does not immediately show visible results, your words are working beneath the surface, shaping your thinking, influencing your responses, and affecting the direction of your day. Many underestimate the impact of what they say because they are looking for immediate evidence. They speak once and expect everything to change instantly. But confession is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. It is something you return to again and again, especially when circumstances try to pull you in a different direction. Every time you speak in line with what you believe, you are strengthening that belief. Every time you refuse to speak in agreement with fear, you weaken its hold on you. Establishing dominion through confession also requires discipline. There will be moments when it feels easier to stay silent or to speak what is convenient. There will be moments when your mind suggests that your words do not matter or that speaking differently will not make a difference. But discipline is choosing to speak anyway. It is choosing to stay consistent even when it feels repetitive, even when there is no immediate change visible. Over time, this discipline produces confidence. You begin to trust the words you speak because you have seen their effect, not necessarily in dramatic, instant changes, but in the steady way your thinking has shifted. Your responses have changed, and your outlook has strengthened. You are no longer easily shaken by what happens around you, because something has been firmly established within you. And as this becomes part of your daily life, you stop living at the mercy of circumstances. You are no longer waiting to see what kind of day you will have based on external conditions. You are actively shaping your day from within, using the authority of your words to establish a direction that circumstances must eventually align with, rather than allowing those circumstances to define your direction for you. There is a powerful shift that takes place when you stop allowing your day to be defined by uncertainty and begin aligning it with unchanging promises. Many people wake up each morning with a sense of unpredictability, as if the outcome of their day is left to chance, circumstances, or whatever may come their way. They carry an underlying question within them: what kind of day will this be? And without realizing it, that question opens the door to doubt, because it assumes that the answer lies somewhere outside of their control. But alignment changes everything. When you choose to align your day with truth, you are no longer asking uncertain questions. You are making confident declarations. You are no longer hoping things will work out. You are establishing what you believe will happen based on something that does not change from one day to the next. This removes instability from your thinking and replaces it with expectation. Promises are not meant to be distant ideas or abstract concepts. They are meant to be taken personally, spoken boldly, and applied directly to your life. When you align your day with them, you are taking something eternal and bringing it into your present moment. You are saying, in essence, that what has already been established is now shaping what you are about to experience. This creates a sense of assurance that does not depend on what you see or feel at the time. Without alignment, it is easy to be pulled in different directions. One moment you may feel confident, and the next moment doubt begins to creep in because something unexpected happens. Your thoughts begin to shift. Your words follow those thoughts, and before long, your entire outlook has changed based on a single circumstance. This is what happens when your foundation is not fixed. You become responsive to everything around you instead of being anchored in something greater. But when you begin your day by aligning with truth, you establish a foundation that is not easily shaken. You are not denying that challenges may come, but you are deciding in advance how you will interpret and respond to those challenges. Instead of seeing them as signs of defeat, you see them through the lens of what you have already declared. Your perspective changes, and because your perspective changes, your response changes as well. Dalleman also brings focus. It removes the noise of competing thoughts and centers your mind on what matters most. Instead of entertaining every possibility of failure or difficulty, you direct your attention toward what has already been spoken over your life. This focus strengthens your inner resolve and keeps you from drifting into negative thinking patterns that can weaken your confidence throughout the day. There is also a consistency that comes with alignment. When you repeatedly begin your day by declaring truth, it becomes a pattern, something that you no longer have to force or remind yourself to do. It becomes natural, a part of how you think and speak. And as that consistency builds, it begins to shape your identity. You start to see yourself differently, not as someone who is subject to circumstances, but as someone who is grounded in something greater. This does not mean that every moment will feel perfect, or that every situation will immediately reflect what you have declared. But it does mean that you are no longer shifting with every change that takes place around you. You remain steady, not because everything is easy, but because your foundation is secure. You know what you have aligned yourself with, and that knowledge gives you confidence, even when the visible evidence has not yet caught up. Alignment requires intention. It does not happen automatically. You must choose it, especially in those early moments of the day when your thoughts are still forming. You must deliberately bring your mind back to what is true, speak it out, and refuse to let anything else take a higher place in your thinking. This choice may seem small in the moment, but its impact carries throughout the entire day. As you continue in this practice, something begins to solidify within you. There is less hesitation, less second guessing, less internal conflict. Your thoughts, your words, and your expectations begin to move in the same direction. You are no longer divided within yourself, and that unity creates strength. It allows you to move through your day with clarity, with confidence, and with a sense of purpose that is not easily disrupted by what happens around you. Fear rarely announces itself loudly at first. It does not always come as panic or overwhelming dread. More often, it enters quietly, subtly, through a single thought, a small suggestion, a what if that seems harmless in the moment. It may come as a question about how something will turn out, a concern about something going wrong, or a quiet expectation that things might not work in your favor. And if it is not recognized and addressed early, it begins to take root. That is why the timing of your response is so important. Fear is easiest to deal with when it is still small, when it has not yet grown into a strong emotion or a dominating mindset. The moment you wake up, before your mind begins to wander and entertain different possibilities, you have an opportunity to set a boundary. You can decide right then and there what you will allow into your thinking and what you will reject. Most people do the opposite without realizing it. They wake up and immediately begin to think about everything that could go wrong. Responsibilities, pressures, unanswered questions, all of it begins to surface, and they allow those thoughts to settle in. They do not challenge them. They do not speak against them. They simply observe them, and in that observation, agreement begins to form. That agreement gives fear a place to grow, but rejecting fear is not about pretending it does not exist. It is about refusing to give it authority. It is about recognizing that a thought, no matter how persistent it may seem, does not have the right to stay unless you allow it. And the way you refuse it is not by ignoring it, but by confronting it with something stronger. This is where intentional speaking becomes essential. When a thought of fear tries to present itself, your response must be immediate, not delayed, not passive, not uncertain. You speak in a way that cuts it off before it has time to develop. You declare peace before anxiety has the chance to build. You declare confidence before doubt has the opportunity to take shape. You do not wait to see if the feeling will go away. You address it at its source. There is a discipline in this that must be developed. Your mind may try to return to those fearful thoughts again and again, especially if it has been accustomed to thinking that way for a long time. But every time it does, you respond the same way. You do not grow tired of rejecting it. You do not start to entertain it just because it is persistent. You remain consistent, understanding that every refusal weakens its influence and every agreement would strengthen it. Guarding your mind early in the day is one of the most effective ways to maintain stability throughout everything that follows. If fear is allowed to enter in the morning, it tends to color everything else. It influences how you interpret situations, how you respond to people, how you handle challenges. It creates a lens through which everything appears more difficult, more uncertain, more overwhelming. But when it is rejected at the beginning, that lens never forms. There is also an awareness that begins to develop as you practice this. You become more sensitive to the kinds of thoughts that try to enter your mind. You recognize patterns, you notice how certain ideas attempt to repeat themselves, and instead of being caught off guard, you are prepared. You know how to respond because you have made it a habit to respond quickly and decisively. This is not about striving to control every single thought, but about taking responsibility for what you allow to remain. Thoughts may come, but they do not have to stay. Fear may attempt to enter, but it does not have to be welcomed. The moment you recognize it, you have a choice to agree or to reject, to remain silent or to speak. And as you continue to choose rejection, something begins to change within you. Fear loses its familiarity. It no longer feels like a natural part of your thinking. Instead, it becomes something foreign, something that you immediately recognize as out of place. Your default response shifts from passivity to authority, from hesitation to confidence. Over time, this creates a kind of inner stability that is not easily shaken. You are not constantly reacting to every negative thought that comes your way. You are not allowing your mind to drift into worry or uncertainty without resistance. You have established a standard, a boundary that fear cannot easily cross, because you have trained yourself to recognize it early and to respond without delay. There is a force that is set in motion the moment you begin to speak with intention, and that force is momentum. It does not appear all at once, and it is not always dramatic in the beginning, but it builds steadily with every consistent declaration you make. Many people underestimate this because they are looking for immediate, visible change. They want to feel different instantly, see results right away, or experience a sudden shift in circumstances. But momentum works differently. It starts quietly, almost unnoticed, and then grows stronger with repetition. When you begin your morning with intentional declarations, you are not just saying words for that moment. You are initiating a direction. Each word adds to the next. Each statement reinforces the previous one, and together they begin to create a flow. At first, it may feel like effort. You may have to remind yourself to stay focused, to continue speaking, to not slip back into old patterns of thinking. But with consistency, that effort begins to decrease, and what once required discipline starts to feel natural. Momentum is powerful because it carries you forward even when challenges arise. If you have already spent time declaring strength, peace, clarity, and confidence at the beginning of your day, those declarations do not simply disappear when a difficult moment comes. They remain active within you, shaping your response before you even have to think about it. Instead of reacting from a place of uncertainty, you respond from a place that has already been established. This is why morning declarations are so important. They are not isolated statements. They are the starting point of everything that follows. When you speak early, you are setting a trajectory. You are giving your mind something to return to, something to lean on, something that continues to influence your thoughts and actions throughout the day. Without that starting point, it is easy to be pulled in different directions, to respond inconsistently, to feel stable one moment and uncertain the next. As momentum builds, it begins to affect not just your thoughts, but your awareness. You become more conscious of how you are responding in different situations. You notice when your thinking starts to drift, and instead of allowing it to continue unchecked, you quickly bring it back in line with what you have already declared. This awareness strengthens the momentum even further, because you are not allowing interruptions to go unaddressed. There is also a cumulative effect that takes place over time. One morning of declarations is valuable, but repeated mornings create something much deeper. Day after day, as you continue to speak intentionally, you are building a foundation that becomes stronger with each repetition. What you say today is reinforced tomorrow, and then again the next day, until it becomes deeply rooted within you. At that point, you are no longer trying to convince yourself. You are expressing something that has become firmly established. Momentum also reduces resistance. In the beginning, negative thoughts may feel strong, and it may seem like you are constantly pushing against them. But as your declarations continue, those thoughts begin to lose their influence. They do not carry the same weight they once did. They may still attempt to appear, but they are weaker, less convincing, easier to dismiss. This is not because they have disappeared entirely, but because something stronger has been built within you. It is important to understand that momentum works in both directions. Just as positive declarations can build strength, negative thinking can build weakness if left unchecked. That is why consistency matters so much. Missing a moment here and there may not seem significant, but over time, patterns are formed by what you do repeatedly. When you choose to be consistent with your declarations, you are intentionally building momentum in the direction you want your life to go. There will be days when you do not feel like speaking, when your mind feels distracted, when your focus is not as sharp as you would like it to be. Those are the moments when consistency matters the most, because momentum is not built on perfect days. It is built on faithful repetition. It is built when you choose to continue, even when it feels routine, even when you do not immediately see the results. As this momentum grows, it begins to carry you in a way that requires less effort and produces greater stability. You find yourself responding with clarity more quickly, maintaining peace more consistently, and moving through challenges with a steadiness that was not there before. It is not something that happens overnight, but it is something that becomes undeniable over time as the words you have been speaking continue to shape the direction and strength of your daily life. There comes a point where this is no longer something you are trying to practice. It becomes who you are. You are no longer waking up wondering how the day will go or waiting to see what will unfold. You rise with a sense of direction already established, a confidence that is not based on circumstances, and a steadiness that does not shift with every passing moment. What once required effort now flows naturally, because you have trained yourself to begin each day with intention, with authority, and with faith. You understand now that your words are not casual. They are decisive. They are not reactions. They are commands. You have seen how the beginning of your day shapes everything that follows, and you no longer leave that beginning unattended. You no longer allow fear to slip in unnoticed or feelings to take the lead. Instead, you step forward immediately, declaring what is true, aligning yourself with it, and refusing to give anything else a higher voice. And because of that, your days begin to carry a different weight. Challenges may still appear, but they do not define you. Pressure may still come, but it does not control you. There is something established within you that remains firm, something that was set in motion before the day even began. You are no longer moved by everything around you, because you have already decided what will move through you. This is how victory is lived out daily, not by chance, not by luck, but by choice. A choice made early, a choice reinforced consistently, a choice to speak before anything else speaks. And as you continue in that choice, day after day, you are not just experiencing better days. You are living from a place of authority where each day is shaped, directed, and commanded by the words you have chosen to speak from the very beginning.